First, let's start with this case. For context, my parents had me when they were in high school. Personally, I don't think that they were prepared for a child, but they decided to keep me. When I was young, my father left our lives, and I still don't fully know why. I just know it was a mutual understanding, and there was no court involvement, so I've never had much closure. Then, 13 years later, he suddenly comes back into the picture. I was obviously confused and felt like it was too late. I'd been fine without him, and I didn't need him, but I eventually accepted him. Shortly after, my parents got back together. My mom had another baby with him, a girl. I love her. She's sweet, innocent, and I want the best for her. But deep down, I can't shake this resentment about the circumstances of her birth. I feel like my father came back into my life just to start over with her. What about me? He's just going to waltz back into my life and then get a retry with a new kid? What about me? That's why I don't think I'll ever be able to have a normal relationship with my sister, because I can't escape those feelings of resentment and anger towards my father. Tonight, I tried to talk to my mom about how I was feeling. I wanted her to understand that my feelings aren't about my sister. I love her, but the situation just feels so complicated. Instead of hearing me out, my mom exploded. She started attacking me, saying things like how badly she raised me and even threatening to kick me out. She won't consider my suggestion of therapy, won't listen to my texts, and now I'm left feeling even more alone. I'm worried that if she follows through on her threats, I'll have nowhere to turn. What about my future? I need to go to school and I have a job I want to keep. So, am I in the wrong? Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong for feeling that way. But it's good to know that while it feels permanent now, it probably isn't. As you rightly understood, it's due to an entanglement of unprocessed feelings because the situation is complicated. Your father abandoned you and has tried to waltz back into your life after 13 years, as though it's no big deal. You tried to deal with it and accept him, and then they had another kid. And clearly your mother expressly feels this new baby is a chance for them to get it right. That is enough to mess with anyone for a long time. It really sucks that your mom reacted that way when you asked for therapy to help process the situation. I'm sorry she wasn't more understanding and supportive. It sounds like an emotional reaction where she isn't able to think clearly about the situation or the impact of their behavior on you and isn't a good person to talk to right now. If she's never made these threats before, and she's postpartum still, I wouldn't take them too seriously, but wouldn't talk to her about it for several months. Sounds like she needs time and space to process too. You do need an outlet to process now, though. Can you journal and know it will be private? Write about each member of your family, their behavior, how it's made you feel. What do you feel they are to be blamed for or not? How do you want to relate to them in the future? How can you behave and act in line with those goals? Can you seek help through school, a school counselor or nurse? Go to them, give a brief outline of the situation, tell them your mother is too upset by your struggle to cope, and give you access to therapy. I'd be astonished if they didn't try and help. Can you go to your dad? I know you probably don't feel like you know him well enough to share vulnerable things with him yet, but saying you rocking up after years and you and my mom then getting together again is a lot to process. Can I see a therapist, please? Is not unreasonable. I'd stick to being firm about sharing minimal detail. Just emphasizing that is a big change, and it's not an unreasonable request. If he's at all inclined to take responsibility, he should fork out easily enough. Failing that is asking your mom again in a couple of months an option. All the hugs, OP. It's a crappy situation, and while you might not come through it not being able to resent your parents for their crap, I hope you can one day have a wonderful relationship with your baby sister. You parents failed you then and are failing you now. I'm sorry they didn't see this as an opportunity to talk to you about your feelings and help you overcome them. Your father owes you a huge apology. I think your parents never really matured, because the reaction of your mother is of a very narrow-minded teen. You can't control your feelings, and you share them honestly with those who are supposed to help you with advice and not punish you for feeling the way you do. So let me tell you what I think your mother should have told you. What happened to you was not fair, and you deserve to feel loved and wanted. And we tend to compare ourselves to others all of our lives. And I can see how you involuntarily compare yourself with your sister. But no fate in this world is the same. Your sister will have her share of challenges, and you have yours. So all you can do is think where you would like to be in 10 to 20 years and move towards that aim. And I, as a mother and your father, will make sure that we support you 100% on your path. We are very sorry we failed you in your childhood, but that doesn't define you. You are strong and loved, and with your sister, you can become the best team. Something along the way should your mother have told you. Please don't let her make you feel guilty, because you are not. You are smart to know what you feel and very smart to analyze those feelings. Just remember, you can feel contradictory feelings at the same time. So you can feel great love and resentment towards your sister at the same time. Hopefully, the resentment will fade away in time. Lots of love to you. I mean, your mother is right about at least one thing. She has done a crappy job as your mother. Your feelings are your feelings, and they aren't exactly wrong, and trying to talk about them and requesting therapy, rather than bottling them up and letting them fester, was absolutely the correct thing to do. So obviously you're not in the wrong, and your mother is idiot for how she responded. I do just want to say that, regardless of your feelings towards your father, there is a pretty significant age gap between you and your sister. So you simply won't have the same relationship or dynamic with her that you would have had if you had been closer in age. Your relationship with her won't look the same as what your friends with similar age siblings have, or what gets shown on TV. So don't get hyper-fixated on whether your relationship with your sister is normal if what you're comparing it to is smaller age gap sibling relationships, because they're always going to be different. Next up, my roommate, 23F, and I, 21F, have lived together for 6 months along with a third roommate and have become good friends. We attend a Canadian university where I was born and here while she is currently on a student visa from India. Her boyfriend recently was offered a very cool opportunity to attend an academic conference in the States over the March break. It's a big deal that he was asked to attend, and the school will pay for his travel and accommodations. When he told her about this opportunity, he offered to split her plane ticket and she could stay in the hotel with him. Basically, he offered her 4 days in the States for the price of half a ticket, hotel, and meals covered. But here's the issue. She can't legally enter the U.S. Well, she can, but would need a visitor's visa, which she wouldn't be able to obtain in time for the trip. Because she is on a student visa, she is not allowed to cross the border. She's very upset that she is A, missing out on a great opportunity, and B, having plans with her boyfriend be changed. However, last night, things reached a bit of a boiling point. It's been 2 weeks of her dragging her feet and complaining about her boyfriend's trip. And while at first we were both supportive, both me and my other roommate are starting to get a bit annoyed at the situation. Especially, she makes a lot of remarks about it not being fair that I am allowed to travel wherever I'd like. Comments I assumed weren't being serious, until she explained to me that she genuinely thinks it isn't fair. Once she started complaining about my last-minute U.S. trip that is coming up, me and my boyfriend decided on a whim to take a road trip to the States, I started getting very annoyed. In the heat of the moment, I snapped and pointed it out to her that she chose to come to Canada on a student visa, knowing the conditions of her being here. She didn't take too well to that and hasn't really spoken to me all day. I do feel bad that I snapped at her, but on the other hand, if she had chosen a different country or stayed in her home, she would be free to travel as she pleases. I don't know a whole lot about the immigration system or how unfair it might be, but she made the decision to come here, and in doing so, her right to enter the States. For context, she's told me quite a bit about her choice to study in Canada. She says she got bored after her bachelor's and applied to the first Canadian university she found online. She isn't leaving an unsafe household or area. Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong, but you were a little harsh. The U.S. visa immigration system is cruel and capricious, and I'm an American. The Canadian one is not great for Indian nationals. So she's going to be disappointed to miss a fun opportunity and is venting to you as a friend. It's not your fault, obviously, but you could be a little more sympathetic. You're not in the wrong, but you're incorrect about her visa. As a student, she is allowed to leave the country and return. But because she has a passport where she needs to apply for a visitor's visa to the USA, as opposed to Canadian, where you can just show up, or other first world countries that pay for an ETA that is approved in 24 hours, she cannot go to the US. It has nothing to do with Canadian immigration and everything to do with the US. Unless her visa has expired and she is on implied status waiting for her renewal to come through. At that point, she can still leave Canada but doesn't have a valid visa to return. Implied status does usually mean you can continue studying/working with the same conditions as your previous visa while in limbo land. This is somewhat of an ignorant and privileged post. I don't necessarily think you're an idiot, though. It just shows that you've never experienced this unfairness yourself. Yes, it is unfair that people are segregated and treated differently based on where they were fertilized by chance as embryos. I'm an immigrant in the UK, and my partner is from here, and I've missed a lot of experiences with him simply because I happened to be born somewhere else. Something I had zero control over. And it's not necessarily the sadness of missing a trip that you feel, but that every little instance like this is like Western society reminding you, don't get too comfortable because you're not really one of us. Next up, last night I got pulled over by a police officer. He had said that I didn't use my turn signal when I was coming out of a parking lot. I don't have an issue with this and was willing to take my ticket and be on my way. Towards the end of our interaction, when he was handing my information back along with said ticket, he requested my phone number and address. I asked why he needed it, and he said verbatim, "Just give it to me, otherwise I can't let you go." I ended up giving him the info, but I'm unhappy that I couldn't get a real reason why he needed it. I discussed it with my mother, and she said that I could file a formal complaint against the officer, because he made me uncomfortable. Would I be the idiot for reporting the officer? Edit. I moved states a week ago, and I have 30 days to update my information. I notified the police officer of this as I handed over my information. When he approached me to return my paperwork, he first asked for my new address and then asked for my phone number. When I asked why he needed that information, he said what I had stated above. Edit 2. The cop handed me my ticket and then proceeded to ask for my address and phone number, which he recorded into a small notebook. I am 22 FF. Update. I called the number on the ticket to ask an officer if a phone number is required. The officer had me explain exactly what happened, and he told me that in this state, TN, asking for a phone number is not normal, and being told that I have to provide one before I could be released is unprofessional. The address was not an issue, as was confirmed from the officer I spoke with, and the officer's supervisor will be in contact with me later today. Thank you all. Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. I have never, ever heard of a cop needing to obtain a person's phone number during a traffic stop. I think you need to report it, because there is a real chance that this was not legitimate and is instead a lead-up to sexual harassment. You're not in the wrong. File the complaint. The officer had you driver's license info. That would let the police contact you for anything official. There was no reason to ask for your phone number or address. Ugh. When I was 16, I worked at a radio station until late at night by myself. A cop heard my voice on the radio and came down there. Normally, I never let anyone in after hours, but thought since it was a cop. He came in and hung out asking me all sorts of weird questions for a long time. I got scared and somehow went to another room and called my friend who showed up with his dad at 11 p.m. or so. I didn't think to turn him in because I was just so rattled and confused. So, you're not in the wrong, and thanks for protecting who knows what other woman or girl. Next up, my friend and I were hanging out at my place for almost the entire day yesterday. I told her about this amazing ice cream place at the mall and I'd treat her. At first, she agreed and told me it's a great idea. Then she suddenly snapped and said that she can't eat ice cream because she's on this healthy diet, and she absolutely will not touch that stuff and it's wrong. I told her that she's not forced to eat it, that it was just a suggestion. It just so happened that my workplace, it's at the mall, needed my assistance and asked if I could come in for a few minutes to help them. I live like 5 to 10 minutes away from the mall, so it's no problem. I told her we have many ways to go because my coworkers need help. I told her we can hang at the mall for a bit if she's down. Anyway, we were passing the ice cream place, and I told her I'm grabbing some for myself, and I asked her if she's sure that she does not want any. She said she's good and thanked me for offering. We're browsing the mall, and she tells me the ice cream actually looks really good if she could have a lick. I told her if she really wants it, I'll get it for her no problem. But she said she just wants to try it from mine. I told her I'm not comfortable with that, but the offer still stands about me getting her an ice cream. She got annoyed and said, "Why are you being such an idiot about this? I don't want a whole damn ice cream, I just want a lick from yours." I told her again I'm not comfortable with that. I'm just very weird when it comes to sharing food, where spit could easily be exchanged. Unless I'm very close with the person, and I'm at a certain level of trust with them, for example my mom, or my brother. Like I could be good friends with someone, but still not be comfortable sharing those types of food with them. My friend and I are just good friends from college, that is all. So am I in the wrong? I mean, I still offered to buy her an ice cream as an alternative. Let's start judging. I had a girlfriend who always did this to me. We'd stop at a store on our way somewhere and I would offer to buy us both a soda. She would always say no, but later would ask for a sip of mine. I find it disgusting to drink after someone else, so I would end up giving her the whole can. I should have smartened up and bought 2 cans anyway. You're not in the wrong. It's good that you stood your ground and not get carried away with her drama. She's actually being an idiot about it, and she should thank you for even offering to treat her. How ungrateful could she be? You're not in the wrong. A lot of people are like you, with germs and stuff like sharing a drink or foods. Some people even find it really off-putting to share makeup, which I can totally understand. I've asked to try something and learned they have a thing with germs, and they said sorry. I told them, please don't apologize. I completely understand. Your girl is being so damn rude about it. I guess her need for trying the ice cream matters more than your comfort. What a selfish friend.